All right, buckle up, because we're diving into the wonderfully weird world of British nobility. You wanted to know about dukes and duchesses' crowns and coronets and, well,
We found some interesting stuff.
oh, we did. Think of it as a slightly skewed and definitely entertaining.
Crash course.
Yes. Crash course on British nobility. And trust me, you won't find this in your average history book. We're talking about
A noble who had 75 wives.
75. Is that even?
Oh, it's true. And a rock star duke.
Okay, now that's my kind of duke. I'm in. Let's do this thing.
Right, sounds good. So to understand British nobility, we need to rewind the clock. All the way back to 1066,
The year of...
to the Norman conquest. William the Conqueror, a French duke, sails across the Channel, conquers England, and becomes the first king of England.
Just like that.
Well, there are a few battles involved, but yeah, essentially. And he brought his French buddies along for the ride. They became the first British aristocracy.
So British nobility is really just French nobility with a change of address.
In a way, yes. But over time, the English took control, and the system evolved into 5 distinct branches: England, Scotland, Great Britain, Ireland, and the United Kingdom.
5 branches.
Yeah.
Like a royal family tree with way too many branches.
Exactly. And not all branches were treated equally. The Irish nobility, for example, got the short end of the scepter. They weren't allowed to participate in the House of Lords.
House of Lords. Sounds fancy.
It used to be called the House of Peers.
House of Peers. It sounds like a reality TV show.
Right. So the Irish nobility was excluded from the House of Peers because of...
Ongoing tensions.
Yes, tensions over Irish independence. The British nobility wasn't keen on sharing power.
I can imagine. Okay, so let's say you weren't born into this whole nobility drama.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any way for a commoner to climb the ranks? Like, was there a Become a Lord in 3 Easy Steps program?
Not exactly, but there was a stepping stone. Knighthood.
Knights, as in shining armor, jousting, and rescuing damsels in distress.
Exactly. They were the almost nobles, the bridge between commoners and the elite.
Okay, so how do you become a knight?
Well, it wasn't easy. You had to prove yourself in battle, perform heroic deeds, or make significant contributions to culture, the arts, or sports.
No pressure or anything? So you're telling me there were no knighting ceremonies for, like, exceptional bakers or really good lute players?
I doubt it. And there were different levels of knighthood. You had Knights of the Order, the top tier, and non-Knights of the Order.
So even among knights, there was a hierarchy.
Always. And the key to climbing that ladder was medals. Think of them as the medieval equivalent of Oscars or Nobel Prizes.
Knights collecting medals like they're Pokemon cards. I love it.
Right, and the most prestigious medals were the Order of the Garter in England, the Order of the Thistle in Scotland, and the Order of St. Patrick in Ireland.
So those were like the grand slam of knighthood.
Absolutely, reserved for the true legends. But what about the rest of us?
Mere mortals.
Right, well, there was the Order of the British Empire. It had 5 classes, from the GBE, the most prestigious, down to the MBE.
Okay, so a tiered system for good deeds. Did you have to be a knight to get one?
Only for the top 2, the GBE and KBE, so people like Charlie Chaplin.
Sir Charlie Chaplin. Has a nice ring to it.
Right, he got a KBE, but he wasn't actually a knight.
So even without wielding a sword, you could still earn a Sir title. Not bad.
Yeah.
But what about moving beyond knighthood? What was the next rung on this ladder of aristocracy?
Well, above the knights, you had the baronets.
Baronets. That sounds,
Almost noble.
yes.
Yes.
Almost noble.
Exactly. They weren't technically nobles, but their title was hereditary, meaning it could be passed down through generations. And there's a fun story behind how baronetcy came to be.
I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
In the 18th century, Scotland needed to raise funds for a war, so they came up with a brilliant idea, selling these hereditary baronet titles to wealthy commoners.
Wait, so you could literally buy your way into pseudo-nobility?
You got it. It was essentially a medieval crowdfunding campaign. Fund the war. Become a baronet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder if those early baronets were seen as savvy investors or just really eager social climbers.
Right. But their descendants still benefit from those titles today.
So you've got your honorary titles with the baronets. But how did you go from there to a true blue-blooded noble?
Now we're talking about the barons, the original holders of land granted by William the Conqueror himself.
The OG nobles.
Precisely. After conquering England, William divided the land amongst his most trusted followers. Those lucky few became the first barons.
So basically, they were medieval real estate tycoons with a side hustle in feudalism.
You could say that. Each barony was linked to a specific piece of land, giving those barons real power. But as with all things in history, things got a bit messy.
Oh. What happened? Did someone lose the deed to their barony in a medieval card game?
Not quite, but families could lose their land through wars, bad luck, or just poor financial decisions. And when a baron lost his barony,
Things got awkward.
to say the least, so they had to adapt. Instead of being the Baron of Somerville, they became Baron Rothschild, for example.
So the title became tied to their name, not the land. It's like losing your mansion but keeping your fancy nameplate.
Exactly. And with that, we see a shift in the concept of nobility. It becomes less about ruling over land and more about...
Maintaining a certain status.
Exactly.
Fascinating. So barons were the first rung on the actual nobility ladder, but I'm sure there's more to the story. What other delightful absurdities await us in this deep dive into the world of dukes, duchesses, and those who aspire to join their ranks?
Oh, there's plenty more. We've only just scratched the surface. After barons, we move up to viscounts and then earls. It's like climbing the corporate ladder, but with fancier titles.
And less paperwork, hopefully.
Yeah.
So what sets the earls apart? Why are they considered high nobility?
Well, for one, they could hold multiple titles. You could be an earl, a viscount, and a baron all at once.
Talk about a mouthful. Imagine introducing yourself at a party. Hello, I'm the Earl of this, Viscount of that, and Baron of I've lost track.
Right. But it wasn't just about bragging rights. Earls could pass down their lesser titles to their sons while they were still alive.
So you could have a whole family of nobles, all with different titles. It's like a dynasty in the making.
Yeah. Exactly. And our source seems particularly fascinated by the Marquesses, who rank above earls but below dukes. They're a rare breed.
Marquesses, I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. What's so special about them?
Well, our source tells a rather scandalous tale of the Marquess of Bath, who supposedly had 75 wives from all over the world.
Hold on, 75 wives. That's not a noble, that's a whole village.
It's true. And when he died, it sparked a massive inheritance battle. Can you imagine?
Oh, I can only imagine the drama. That's a reality show I'd watch. Okay, enough about the Marquesses, their marital adventures. Let's move on to the main event, the dukes.
Ah, the dukes. The top tier of British aristocracy. There are only 24 traditional duke families left.
So these are the real deal, the creme de la creme of nobility. But even among dukes, there's a pecking order.
Of course. The ranking is based on the age of the dukedom. The older the dukedom, the higher the ranking.
So it's all about who got there first. Makes sense. But I bet these dukes are more than just stuffy old titles. Give me the dirt.
Well, for starters, there's the Duke of Westminster. He inherited a massive property empire in London. At 30 years old, he's the richest millennial in the world.
Owning half of London will do that for you. What about the others? Any more colorful characters?
Oh, absolutely. The Duke of Atholl, for instance, owns Europe's only legal private army.
A private army. That's taking home security to a whole new level.
And then there's the Duke of Argyll, who's the captain of a Scottish elephant polo team.
Elephant polo. Is that even a thing?
Apparently it is, and quite popular among the Scottish nobility, according to our source. But not all dukes are living such extravagant lives. The Duke of Buccleuch, who used to be the biggest landowner in Europe, was recently outbid for a huge chunk of Scottish land by a Danish billionaire.
Ouch. It seems even dukes aren't immune to real estate competition.
Right. And speaking of financial challenges, there's the 10th Duke of Devonshire. He inherited a massive estate, but it came with crippling inheritance taxes.
I can't even imagine the tax bill on an ancestral home. Did he have to sell off the family silver?
More like the family art collection. He and his wife spent years paying off those taxes. They opened up their estates to the public, hosted events, and even sold some of their most prized paintings. It's a reminder that even for dukes, maintaining a legacy can be tough.
It's like a real-life Monopoly game. Sometimes even the best properties come with hefty fees. But it sounds like the Duke of Devonshire was determined to preserve his family history. What about the other dukes? Any more inspiring stories?
Well, the Duke of Bedford was a passionate conservationist. He turned his estate, Woburn Abbey, into a huge wildlife park.
So instead of lavish parties, he opted for endangered species. That's a duke I can get behind.
And then there's the 10th Duke of Rutland. He had to sell a painting to fund the renovation of his enormous castle.
I guess even dukes have to tighten their belts sometimes. What about the rest of them? Any other hidden talents or eccentricities?
Our source mentions the Duke of Marlborough of Winston Churchill's family. He's known for his sharp wit, especially when it comes to defending his family's lineage.
I do love a noble with a good comeback.
Yeah.
What happened?
Apparently, another duke was questioning the Marlborough family's claim to nobility, and the Duke of Marlborough simply replied, "I may not be descended from nobility, but I am the founder of the Marlborough line."
Boom. Take that. Okay, before we get too carried away with the dukes, there's another group we need to talk about. They're not technically nobles, but they outrank even dukes in the hierarchy. Can you guess who I'm talking about?
I believe you're referring to the archbishops.
You got it. We're venturing into the realm of religion now. Tell me more about these high-ranking clergymen. What role do they play in this whole nobility saga?
They're a fascinating mix of church and state. The two archbishops, Canterbury and York, hold positions above dukes in the Church of England.
Okay, so it's like a spiritual power move. You may have your lands and titles, but we have the big guy upstairs on our side.
In a way, yes, they play a vital role in coronations, actually crowning the monarch.
Wow. So they're not just figureheads. But you can't inherit these positions, right? What's the selection process like for an archbishop?
No, it's not hereditary. They're appointed by the church based on their leadership, theological knowledge, and probably, yeah, their ability to handle a really ornate staff.
I bet those interviews are interesting. So tell me about your experience leading a parish. And can you rock a mitre? Okay, enough about the archbishops. Let's talk royals. We've got 6 royal dukes, but I'm guessing there's a pecking order even within those ranks. It's like a royal Game of Thrones, but with better snacks.
Definitely less backstabbing, at least publicly. So the sixth in line is Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, the Queen's cousin.
The extended fam, got it. Who's next?
Number 5 is another cousin, Prince Richard, the Duke of Gloucester.
Keeping it in the family. And number 4.
Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. That title is usually given to the monarch's second son.
Ah, so it's like a consolation prize for not being firstborn. You didn't get the throne, but here's a dukedom. Enjoy. Okay, top 3. Hit me.
Coming in at number 3 is Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex.
So even though he stepped back from royal duties, he still holds the title.
That's right. It shows that these titles are about more than just current roles. They're about lineage, history. You can walk away from the spotlight, but the title remains.
It's like a permanent reminder of where you come from. All right, who are our final 2 contenders?
Number 2 is Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge. That title was given to him, not inherited automatically like the Duke of York.
A special honor just for him. And the top spot, drum roll, please.
Prince Charles, the Duke of Cornwall. It's a title that goes back over 600 years, always granted to the Prince of Wales. Eventually, it'll pass to Prince William when he becomes the Prince of Wales.
It's like a real-life fairy tale, with titles and traditions passed down through generations. And at the very top of this whole royal pyramid, we have the Queen herself. Does she even count as nobility, or is she on a whole other level?
Definitely another level. Queen Elizabeth II at 95 years old with a reign of 69 years, she's more than just a noble. She embodies the monarchy itself.
Speaking of the monarchy, let's talk money for a second. We hear about these massive estates, priceless art, the crown jewels. Just how wealthy are these royals?
It's a closely guarded secret, but experts estimate their wealth to be around $100 billion. That's almost half of Jeff Bezos' fortune.
It's hard to even fathom that kind of wealth. But even with all that money and all those fancy titles, British nobility has its struggles, like those inheritance taxes we talked about.
Definitely. And here's another interesting tidbit. After 1984, the monarchy stopped granting hereditary peerages to commoners.
So for most people, joining that inner circle is basically impossible now. Are the doors to aristocracy slammed shut, leaving us commoners dreaming of tiaras and castles?
Well, not quite. Remember the Principality of Sealand? That quirky micronation on an abandoned sea fort? They sell noble titles.
Oh yeah, it's like nobility for dummies, cheaper than a trip to London, and you get to call yourself a baron or even a duke. But are those titles actually worth anything?
No land in the UK and no royal treatment from the Queen. But hey, you get a certificate and the right to call yourself a Sealand noble. Maybe an invitation to a swanky seafort party.
I can see it now. Sealand's elite, sipping champagne on a wind-swept platform, comparing their Sealand coats of arms.
Ugh.
But on a more serious note, Sealand makes you think. What does it mean to be a nation? What is sovereignty? Can you just declare yourself a country if you have a big enough platform, or in this case, a seafort?
It's a fascinating question, and it's here that our sources' humor about British nobility gets really interesting. It's not just about the funny stories. They're subtly poking fun at our fascination with titles, status, maybe even our desire for a little escapism.
They're saying, look, this whole nobility thing is a bit absurd, but it's fun to play along. And I agree. Life's too short to be serious all the time, especially with all these quirky micronations and self-proclaimed nobles out there.
Exactly. Maybe true nobility isn't about your position in some hierarchy. Maybe it's about how you live, how you treat others, the joy you bring into the world.
And maybe, just maybe, it's about embracing that sea land spirit, challenging conventions, creating your own rules, having a good laugh while you're at it. So go explore. Maybe you'll invest in a sea land dukedom. Or delve into the history of real-life nobles. Either way, have fun.